to SNT, aka Sports and Touring. We're on our way to Petrolheadonism Underground.
Petrolheadonism Underground is a car show that spans all sorts of cars, from tuner cars all the way up to hypercars, so we're sure to see some amazing things today.
Now, it's not just about the cars, it's about the people, not least Craig Lieberman, the man behind so many cars of the Fast and Furious franchise, who we catch up with later in this video. However, our number one objective was to find one car, a car that we heard might be there, but weren't 100% sure. It's one of the rarest, wildest Lamborghinis ever made, the Sesto Elemento, a car so rare that we never expected to see one in our lifetimes. But before we get to that,
hit the Petrolheadonism, Ciro holds court. Underground roars where the petrol heads sport. Custom whips galore, horsepower they contort. Chrome shining bright, engines they exhort.
Right, so we're in and already there's some very, very interesting cars. Oh, look at that van.
Just in this front section, we've got a quite clean looking V10 M5. I've always wanted to drive one of these. They do sound pretty awesome. A ridiculously wide AMG GT. One of our favorite YouTube channels that we like to watch, DDE, Mike Esser's got an AMG GT and is doing a full GT3 kit on that. So it's pretty cool to see what that could look like.
we've also got a slammed GTR with all of the carbon. One of my two favourite cars, the Ford Escort Cosworth, and of course the Sierra Cosworth, the second gen. Plenty of Lamborghinis, Huracans, Lotus, the Mucialago, very nice looking car. Now, this SVJ is exactly my kind of spec. Oh, wow. And that's also very cool. I'm really glad that my son has just gone to get the breakfast because I didn't want him to see this number plate. Breakfast. James, how's breakfast?
I used to work on cars very similar to this in my youth.
You say that like you're so old.
I feel old.
Look at that number plate. Feeling the Tokyo Drift vibes here.
I don't think that Fiat has got a V6 in it.
M4? M4? M3?
You should know this by now, come on. 2 doors, the M4,
I know, but you know,
4 doors, the M3.
I can never remember when they started doing the M4 and not the Coupe M3.
You're not really a car person, is what you're saying.
Basically, I'm not a BMW person more than anything else.
This one is a...
R33, I know what bloody
look at you.
GTRs are. Shut up.
It's not a GTR.
GTS even. I'm shutting down the YouTube channel, just so you know. In fact, I'm going to change it to a cooking channel. I really need that coffee. Now, when people talk about a car being a shed, I didn't realise they meant literally.
I'm not really a bike man because I don't trust myself on 2 wheels. And I don't trust others, more specifically. But the MV Agusta has always been one of my dream. If I had so much money that I could buy a beautiful bike to put in my living room, it's just a gorgeous looking thing.
It's beautiful. And Damani just spotted this 300 ZX. Now my friend, who's got one of these, he's actually got a 2JZ in it.
A 2J what?
2JZ.
Are you American?
2JZ. Oh God, sorry. You know what? You watch too much. I watch too much American YouTube.
This is very, very nice though. I do like the rear bumper, diffuser-y type of thing. It's very clean. Look at the size of the tyres on that S2000.
What width of the tyres?
335.
335.
My narrow one.
Woo, jeez. Okay, that's got to win the prize for the biggest turbo. 1,200 horsepower in a car that weighs nothing. 927 kilograms with 1,200 horsepower and it's road legal. What?
Everything's carbon. This is like how you would want to build your car.
Only things that have been skinned are the chassis rails,
Yeah.
the strut tails. All in between is all carbon panels.
Wow.
Petrolheadonism, revving in the mist. The underground cools can't resist.
Really nice modified TT over here.
Shut up. Now, this is a car that we both really like. 675 LT. So I've had the privilege of driving a 675 LT Carbon Series Spider version, and I fell in love with that car. Once it's in sport mode, that crack you get from the exhaust is just like, mwah.
pedal to the metal, we accelerate.
Now, we didn't expect to find the Sesto Elemento in the outdoor section, but perhaps we'd find it downstairs in the underground section.
From classic to the tuners in the grand car lore. Sports and touring, fam, always wanting more.
Right, we've made it into the underground bit of Petrolheadonism Underground, and we get greeted by an Aston Martin GT8. Now, these are very, very cool, inspired by the GT race cars. This one has a supercharger. These are really, really cool. Aston Martin Vantages have always had a soft spot in my heart, and this is pretty much the ultimate, other than the GT12, of course. What do you think of these?
I love them, love them. When we went to visit Tim at the Shmuseum, I was actually a bit sad that his wasn't there.
So you know the drill, you know what's going to happen here.
We do.
You got to look that way when I press the magic buttons.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
Absolutely amazing. And then a pair of crazy G-Wagons, one of them being a 6x6 Brabus, which is just mental, followed by Bumblebee, Jurassic Park, and a friend of ours, Dad Cars, with his / James's old Maserati, and there are the pair right there. So let's go say hi.
Hey, you're right. Can you come on you? How you doing? You all right? How you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Ben from Dad Cars. The Dad Cars marquee. My children actually coloured it in, and it's my 3-year-old that did the main sections of it. Actually, quite nice. But yeah, that's one of the activities that we do here. It'll be event-specific colouring in. So a lot of the cars that are actually here, children can colour them in. We also got a treasure hunt going on as well to encourage the children to go around and actually look at all of the cars here with their parents. So they just got to try and find these 6 different alloy wheels with a letter on. It makes up a word. They find the words and they find all of them and come back and they get a free pack of Haribo. But it's just trying to make, you know, include the children in things like this.
And if you haven't seen Ben before or his channel, it was this whole thing about how you just thought, just because I'm a parent doesn't mean I have to buy boring cars. I should still be able to have interesting cars.
I made the mistake, I did the thing. I had a Lotus Elise, and then as soon as I became a dad, I sold my Lotus Elise and bought a 3rd generation X5, thinking, oh, okay, you know, I'm doing the right thing here and being a good dad, putting my wants aside. But it doesn't leave you. It doesn't leave you, you know, if you're a true car enthusiast, and it shouldn't leave you either, so you can do both.
The 765 LT, I have to say, just fixes everything that I feel is wrong with the 720S. The 765 has all of the aero updates and everything that I personally felt that the original car needed. And I think with the LT, they could have gone even further had they have just given the original car this treatment.
There's a coupe over there as well. If you have a coupe, you have to have the roof scoop. I found one of the alloys. See, what you sometimes forget is I'm still a child. So I'm going to be taking part in Dad Car's child thing, and I want my Harry.
Well, you are my child.
Exactly.
And this time, I don't want you to take an L. The dad jokes will be coming on strong all day today. So we bumped into James. Now, if you didn't know, we've done quite a few videos together, not so much on sports and touring, but over on JM and Friends. And if you've watched any of JM on Cars reviews for manufacturers' cars, a lot of the time, he's behind the camera and I'm behind the wheel. But how have you found the experience so far?
Actually, it's been amazing. I wasn't really sure what to expect. You know, it's called Petrolheadonism Underground. I go to the Nebworth event where I can, which has got a bit of a different flavour to it. And I wasn't really sure if this is going to be my scene or not, but I have to say I've been amazed, and positively so. The variety of cars is sensational.
It's got something for everyone, literally. And you've got the 550 with you today. It's been away for a little while, but now she's back. What was it like having to drive her down today? Did you enjoy?
Yeah, I did actually. I left early, as I think nearly everyone that's here did. 7 o'clock, very little traffic on the road, and the car's built really as a continent crusher, so to do the sort of, 70, 80 miles to get here, easy, and it was a delight, even in stop-start London traffic. It's just a great car.
This looks like it's got a halo.
Yeah, looks like the roof is gone. I want to know what's going on here, for sure. Stirato, seeing these more and more. Of course, Mark McCann jumped his, didn't he, famously?
He did.
And only did a little bit of damage, just a few scratches.
Just a little bit. Speaking of Mark McCann, here's his stand.
This is a cool car. Originally a Ken Block Gymkhana car. That is very cool to be in a position to own that car. Yes, indeed, we've got also once the dirtiest Aventador out there, but looks like he's given it a good old clean now. And you can't walk 10 feet without bumping into a YouTuber. This is Jack from number 27. Now, you and I have similar taste in one particular model, and that's the De Tomaso Pantera. And I've been so jealous watching you drive several now, if I'm not mistaken.
3 I've featured on the channel.
And I haven't driven one yet. Have you got one yet?
No, so I've received mine. It's a project car from the States, so I think it's going to be at least a year before it's ready. But I promise you that when it is ready, you will be on my list of people to come down, and I'll let you have a drive of it anyway, so you'll finally try one.
Okay, you heard that on camera, so you can't take it back. No take backs.
Racing to the finish line, seatbelt, fast whips, got a win in mind. See me when I skirt off, ain't no 10 in mind. Friends keep saying slow down, should've seen the signs. Riding down this dirt road.
So as we continued our search, still no sign of the Sesto Elemento. However, the cars that we did find did not disappoint. This is Tim's Black Series, which we got to see when we went to the Shmuseum. And interestingly, I thought Damani was going to choose this as one of his select vehicles, but it wasn't. It was the SLS.
Much better. Better looking, better sounding, better.
Yeah. And speaking of GT8s, as we did earlier, this is the car that I was hoping to see when we were at the Shmuseum.
I chose the 675 LT. If you haven't watched that video, make sure you check it out here or wherever it is on the screen. After you watch this, here, there, somewhere. But one of my dream cars, that is one of my favorites that I chose. But if the GT8 was there, I think I would have chose that as well. And also, we'll get to it in a second, but if the Zenvo was there, I definitely would have chosen it.
That would have been on the list. Now, I do think this is a very cool car. One of the things that I like about the fact that he got this is just something completely different. And I'm actually quite excited to see what they're going to do with the next car.
They've released it already, it's got a V12.
Oh, really?
It was at the car thing. That one car thing, you know?
Monterey Car Week?
That's it. How did you get it from that? Before we move on from this car, one thing I've never noticed is they've done an opposing weave in the carbon side panel to read out Zenvo. That is cool.
That is incredible. And the carbon on the wheels is just outrageous. And of course, it has its signature feature, which is this rear wing, which can lean left or right. Now, Damani.
And up and down.
And up and down, left and right. And now, apparently, that's meant to give it better downforce in the corners by leaning the wing so that it catches more air. However, when you were studying your degree in motorsport engineering, yes, he has a degree in motorsport engineering. When you were studying your degree in motorsport engineering, you kind of talked about the value of that, didn't you?
So they copied my design. For my dissertation, I did a active rear wing, and they blatantly stole it, even though this was brought out before I made mine.
And yours didn't lean left and right, it just works like any other active wing, like the ones on McLaren's.
It's one of those things, it's the benefits that you'd get out of it, I don't think
for the extra
outweigh the weight and the complexity, and it's so situational. So you see videos of them going through corners and then the wing will be doing this, because when you're driving, it's so rare that you're perfectly steering one way and then bringing it back. You're always making micro adjustments, and the wing is doing that as well. So I would be curious to see someone set a lap time with the wing turned on and then a lap time with the wing turned off to see if it actually makes a difference. Challenge the roads.
Yep.
You drove his Vantage recently, or what going to?
I did, yes. I got to drive his Vantage over on the JM and Friends channel. So if you're not subscribed to that, make sure you check out the JM and Friends channel. We'll leave a link to that in the description. Richard from Challenge the Road, he also has this lovely P1. And if you look closely...
Look at the flake, and then you can see the carbon weave. Oh, so good.
It's so hard to pick up the weave on camera, but this is a full carbon body. What he actually did with this car, he bought the P1 and then sent it to MSO and had them fully rebody it in this full carbon, purple tinted carbon. It looks absolutely incredible. And I think this is one of those cars where I think I'd even be afraid to sit in it, let alone drive it.
I would drive the nuts off it. You know P1 Ouve all those videos of the press car where it's like at Yas Marina and the test drivers are just like, that'd be me. 2 of the 3 Holy Trinity. Every day of the week I would take a P1, I'm sorry.
Ciro runs the show, mastermind of combustion, engines roar louder, pure power in construction.
How we doing?
The main man behind Petrolheadonism. Now, think back. Few years, first ever meet.
Shamrock Hotel, I literally said this to my team last week, and Laura worked for us as a general manager, assistant general manager, receptionist at the hotel. And I said to her, can you believe we've gone from Shamrock, maximum 1,500 people, 2,000 people, to this? People do message me they miss Shamrock because it was that intimacy. We've got some of our events are small, like cars and copters, but
just a small event with cars and helicopters.
50 helicopters, 150 supercars, but it's the intimacy's good. But what we're doing now is just blows my mind, and it just keeps growing in my mind.
One of the other things I really like is how much you promote YouTubers as well.
For me, it's content for the event. It's also an opportunity for them to meet their followers and realise, like Jack, like Scott. I was at an event with Scott 3 years ago, Rattarossa, and he was just blown away. I was like, mate, you don't realise, like, the community that watch you. So people are here to meet the guys, the girls. They're here to see the cars. They're here to watch the interviews, and it just adds so many facets to the event.
But one facet still missing for us was the Sesto Elemento, so we continued our search. And the next section we stumbled onto brought back some very fond memories.
Fast and furious flows in our veins, turbocharged hearts breaking chains.
Do you live your life 1/4 mile at a time?
We thought this was a big old blower. It's just stuck on.
I'm pretty sure that will be unstuck and put in the boot. Because I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to run stuff like that in the UK. You probably get pulled over because it obscures too much of your vision.
Yes.
Apart from the Dom Toretto car, over here we've got a replica of the Supra. Is that got the Targa roof?
It does have the Targa roof.
Anyway, we've got a replica of the car that had a random hole cut out in the floor with a bolted in piece of sheet metal. Somehow is connected to the engine.
Danger to manifolds.
Obviously, we've got Jesse's car here, and of course, a replica of the sort of Paul Walker GTR.
This car amazes me because this movie, the character, the car, had such a big impact on so many people. And to think that a movie car can have such an influence on a car's value. It's not just the Fast and Furious movies, you also had the Gran Turismo games, the fact that the car was just great for its time. But just to think this had such a big factor in the fact that those cars now, you see someone going up for sale for $500,000.
Now, the car that for me will steal the show out of the Fast and Furious cars is this. If you don't know the movies and don't know the cars, do you recognise it? Do you recognise this car? This is actually an RX-7, a Mazda RX-7 with the Veilside Fortune body kit. I used to dream about building one of these, and you know, it might happen one day, you never know. Or I'm more likely to buy one that's already been built, but obviously I'd need to have it in the original orange, although they do look good in white, don't they? And yeah, this is one of my sort of dream builds. Now this one's obviously had plenty done to the engine bay, but the key thing here is that symbol there, the Veilside Fortune body kit.
It's quite nice because what I like about the Fast and Furious movies is you kind of have all the old stuff which was very period correct. And then kind of as the characters got older, their car taste also got more mature, and then Brian's Supra now look like this, which is just clean with the TRD bits and the BBSs, as opposed to his orange Supra, which by today's standards, like very cool, very period.
Yep.
But if someone built that today out of a new car.
Unless it's done as a tribute car, yeah.
What is this?
Ah, Hobbs and Shaw? No, it's got Hobbs number plate on it.
And it's got a huge, humongous turbo.
So, Craig, hello.
Hello.
Craig Lieberman, famously involved in many of the movie cars for Fast and Furious. What brings you to Petrolheadonism Underground today?
I see car shows and I go. That's what I do.
And we've got quite a few, at least replica movie cars. And if you were to pick any one that you've seen so far that was probably the closest to one of the original movie cars, which one would you pick?
The Evo right there is top. That's pretty good. The FD RX-7, smashing. The color's a little off, but that body kit, beautiful. And then for 100% accuracy, pretty much close to the Jetta, that's really good.
The Fast and Furious movies have been around for a long time now, and obviously
there's still a huge fan base, even amongst young people. What's kind of reactions you're getting when you visit the shows?
Well, if you compare it to American car shows, nobody talks about Fast and Furious anymore, really, mostly. But out here, when I was overseas here in Germany 5 times last year, the people were swamping, asking thousands of questions, and they knew every detail about every movie for the first movie, second two, and then Tokyo Drift, and then they stopped caring after Fast 4. They didn't care anymore.
Okay, and finally, out of all of the movies that you were involved in, which was your favourite?
Well, I was only really present for first and 2, and for a little bit for Tokyo Drift, but Tokyo Drift is my best friend. Yeah, that's my best movie.
Same. That's our favourite as well. It's a totally different film, isn't it?
It is. It's very accurate, right? Mostly, I would say.
One last question from me. Out of all the cars that you've worked on in the movies, what was your favourite? I think it was the Supra that was your personal car?
The Supra, the Maxima, and the Too Fast, Too Furious Skyline GTR. All my cars. I got rid of the Supra about a year after the movie because everybody's looking at me like, why is an old man driving this racing car, right? But with the Skyline, everybody loved that car. It was just so over the top at that time.
Shifting gears, all barn dreams and GB, fuel up hotels of racing in it for me.
Now, I really like this liveried GT4. Reminds me of Sega Rally, for those of you who are old enough to remember that game.
I remember that game.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I used to have to go and play it in the arcades originally to pay 20p.
3, 2, 1, go!
Now, this is very, very cool. I like these old Mustangs. Very nice, and I love that colour. What is that on the side?
That's a human being.
No, this.
That looks like air conditioning.
Ram air conditioning.
Yes, I really want a Hellcat.
Yes, because you got to drive one when you were in America recently, which didn't go out on the channel, but Damani had to go to America for reasons. And while he was there, he thought, oh, why don't I just take that for a drive up the
Angeles Crest Highway.
Angeles Crest Highway. And I have to say, I was a little bit jealous.
My car of the show. FD, 99 spec bumper, 99 spec wing, in white. Perfection. This 765 LT with all of its Gumball stickers on it was the one that we saw on the way down to the Gumball event. This was actually one of the guys who was out on that Gumball trip. He just came over and spoke to us and said, oh, you were the guys from Gumball. Yeah, every time someone asks to see a video of the car, they show our video because it shows that huge flame, which you can see now. What? I shot a flame like this big out of it. Did you catch that? Yeah. One day, we need to try and do Gumball.
Oh, that's on the bucket list for sure.
Now we've returned to this car. It had a cover on it earlier, but it's crazy to see how they've gotten rid of the roof, got rid of the windscreen for this tiny little windscreen and this F1-esque halo that goes over it. Looks like otherwise it is pretty much stock, but crazy to think how much work would have gone into this to make a one-of-a-kind roofless AMG GT.
Won't disrespect, so I disregard fools. All of them be facades. And they're still in the streets and they're writing statements. Oh my lord, there's rats at large.
Now the show is so big that it occupied another entire car park across the road that at first we didn't even know was there. So if the Sesto Elemento was at the show, this is where we were going to find it.
Now we've gotten all the way to the back of the green car park, and it is quite densely populated over here. The cars are much more closely parked together with lots more people. We have also driver's keeper's car. This has 297,000 miles on this. It's actually a former driving experience day car, and the reason it was a driving experience day car because the owner owned the driving experience company, wanted one of these, and the only way he could afford it was by renting it out for other people to drive. But there's very little of the original car left with the amount of maintenance he's done on it. It's quite like a white body kit on this Subaru here.
I was literally just about to start saying that as well. I think it's a Varis kit, but what I've not seen on one of these before is it's been smoothed in at the rear. It's been properly molded onto the bodywork and it actually looks really, really good.
Lamborghini dreams in the petrol red scream. Sesto Elemento.
shadow in the beam unseen. Carbon fiber ghost, swift like a phantom.
So we found the car that we both wanted to see the most. The Lamborghini Sesto Elemento, or 6th Element, based on a Gallardo, but not just any Gallardo.
It was based off of the Supercharged race car, completely stripped down, rebuilt from the ground up. One thing that I've always loved about Lamborghini is what they do is they build some sort of either limited run car or a concept car that kind of gives you a view into what the next generation of car will look like. And this was near to the end of the Gallardo's era, so they kind of built this. I think a lot of it is as a design study, but when you look, especially at a side profile roofline level of a Sesto Elemento next to a Huracan, you can see a lot of the design elements that were taken off of it. This was when Lamborghini were kind of switching to their more angular, hard lines, away from the softer Gallardo and Mercy to the Huracan and the Aventador. But I've never seen one of these in person. It is mental to see like how much of it is one piece. The whole front is one piece. The whole rear end is one piece. The interior, just the way, there's nothing in there. It's just the structure. And then pads down on the floor and on the firewall essentially for you to sit in. It is a proper bit of kit. I can't even imagine what it would be like to drive it.
No. Now, they only actually made 20 of these. Everything about the design of this for me was just so special and so different. I love the carbon fiber. From a distance it just looks like a satin black, but as you get closer you realise that is all carbon fiber. And the red details, it's kind of a candy red, just pops. And look at that interior structure. I mean, that just looks absolutely crazy.
The only thing that I always found quite sad about these cars, the reason you don't even really see many videos of them, because they were based off of the race car, they were never built to be homologated for the street. So none of them are road legal. So there's only 20 of them. Track only cars, because they're so rare and so special, generally a lot of these owners don't drive them on track. It's quite a rare opportunity to be able to see it in person, because you just generally never would.
I've been thinking about getting a Gallardo, but nothing like this, obviously.
Or you buy a Supercharged car, get someone to build the body kit for you, slap some plates on it.
Jobs are good.
There you go.
Road legal, if only.
One thing that really gives it away as a race car is the fuel filler. You've got the proper race fuel filler, and also the Perspex sliding windows. But one of the things I love about this car are those mirrors.
Yes.
They're so different, but the way that they kind of come out and in.
It's the side structure, like here, like how it comes up from here into that point and then goes inwards. It's like so unusual. I really, really like it.
The way those exhausts come up and out, up behind the rear wing.
Yeah, it's crazy. There is so much to see. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been a good day. It's always good hanging out with good people with good cars. So
please make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, choose notifications on all videos, and of course make sure you check out another video on our channel, and YouTube thinks you'll like this one here.